Gross substitute House Bill 1770 on third reading and final passage. Remarks. The good member from the 1st District, Representative Dewar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Most people are surprised at the amount of energy consumption that's taken up by buildings. It's actually the second largest source of greenhouse gases. And unlike other areas, it's only going up. And buildings last 50 to 100 years. So we need to be planning for the future now. This bill would provide an avenue for local governments to adopt a REACH code, a single REACH code, if they feel that it would be beneficial to their community. In response to stakeholders, there is only one REACH code for residential proposed in this bill. Currently, commercial buildings don't have a single REACH code. Every community can choose their own commercial REACH code. So this is actually quite simplified. State law already requires a 70% reduction beginning in 2031. And this bill focuses on what's next and requires all new construction to achieve an 80% reduction in emissions and be ready for solar panels by 2035. You know, when I was in college, I had a real a moment of awakening when one of my professors talked to us about the materials and energy used in a building and how it was so tied to energy consumption and it driving, you know, trees being cut and whatnot, and the responsibility that came with that. And I had a real moment where I didn't know if I could participate in that industry and call myself an environmentalist. But I stuck with it, and I believe that I'm here for a reason, and that is to make sure that there are people in the industry who take the responsibility seriously and think about the future of the planet, of their children's future, and do the right thing to push innovation and to push demand for new technologies so that we can do our best to pass on a livable planet to our children. Respectfully asking for a yes vote.
Further remarks, the good member from the 12th District, Representative Gaynor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And often when we come to a debate, we have clearly drawn sides. We're either for it or against it. And this is clearly not one of those cases, because I believe that we're all for energy conservation and greater efficiency. We want to see the best use of the resources that we have here in the state of Washington, and we want to use it in a way that really is beneficial to the people of the state. If you look at the title of the bill, Madam Speaker, it says Strengthening Energy Codes. That implies that we have energy codes, which we do. And each time these energy codes have been updated, it is added to the cost of new home construction, and it has continually priced people out of the opportunity of being a homeowner. A recent study showed that for every $1,000 added to the price of a home, 2,500 Washingtonians are out of the market. And that counts to about, for the new energy codes, if they're implemented as proposed, up to 41,000 plus people in King County will no longer be able to be homeowners because they won't be able to afford it. As I mentioned earlier, we talk a lot about affordable housing. We talk about keeping people in their homes and getting people in a new home. We've had bills here that have allowed for greater opportunities for loans, Madam Speaker. I mean, we do all we can to make it an opportunity for people to become homeowners, and yet when we accelerate what we already have, which we know to be good and efficient right now with our energy codes, we are displacing people that don't even have an opportunity to get in to a home and have that roof over their head and raise their family and to enjoy their own home. So, Madam Speaker, it's not about not wanting to be energy efficient, because you know what I've seen in my community, our local PUD has for years had incentive programs for people to become more efficient. They will provide opportunities for you to re-insulate, to upgrade your insulation. And we had, as a county commissioner, we redid the whole county courthouse to conserve on energy.
Speaker has 20 seconds remaining.
So what I'm saying is that the incentives do work, and I think it is much more appropriate for us to have incentives rather than mandates. But we do want to see energy efficiency, but this bill is not the way, and I would urge a no vote. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Further remarks, the good member from the 14th District, Representative Corey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning. Happy Super Bowl Sunday featuring Yakima's own Cooper Cup. Today, I'm going to be urging a no on this bill. We've heard some interesting arguments back and forth tonight, and I think the one that sticks out the most to me is just how much this will put home ownership further out of reach of the middle class. The counter argument to that was that by doing this, you'll save more money in energy costs over the life of your home. Well, if you can't buy or get into that home, what good are those potential savings? This bill will only make housing more unaffordable. It will only make home ownership more out of reach for more Washingtonians. It's laudable, yes, but is it practical and real for solving problems in our state? No. It's the equivalent of us saying housing can't get any more expensive, and Washington State saying, wait, hold my beer. Please vote no.
Further remarks, the good member from the 8th District, Representative Benke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, and good Sunday morning, Super Bowl Sunday with Eastern Washington's Cooper Cup. So, Madam Speaker, I'm rising today to go ahead and ask for a no vote on this amendment. As we talked about the crystallizations in the photos of the solar panels, a lot of those are in destructive areas in our communities. When you apply for these solar panels and get those on your roofs, the cost alone would cost an average person $1,500 a panel, with an average return back on that was 25 to 59 years. That's 60 years you're going to get your monies back out of this. We want to get real solutions. We want to get solutions that put money back in the pockets of all Washingtonians while we still maintain the energy codes that we have today. A lot of people are building to better standards. We're looking at those already. The market is heading that direction and moving that way. We want to have the flexibility in this tight housing market that we have to allow people to be flexible within this market, to do what we need to do to support these energy codes that are existing. The gentleman before me had mentioned that as well, and we want to go into that effort. So let's look for real solutions. Let's look for the opportunities to put money back in all Washingtonians' pockets. And I ask for a no vote today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Further remarks, the good member from the 7th District, Representative Maycumber.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm really shocked that we're doing this policy tonight, and I'll tell you why. Strengthening the energy codes tonight, when almost every single night on the news, you hear the struggles of families trying to find housing in Washington State. It's one of the biggest issues in the state of Washington right now. So big that is one of the top priorities of the legislature. We should be making sure families can find homes before we increase the cost of those homes out of reach for families. Now, it's so high, and this bill is so complex, even the sponsor struggled with describing the policy. Madam Speaker, this policy can be so...
Please don't impugn other members. Please speak to the policy. Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, I apologize. This is a large policy. It will be difficult for those people to try to implement the policy and build those homes, and it will be difficult for the families of Washington State to find affordable housing. We do want to make sure we reduce energy But if families can't get in any homes, if we continue to see the homelessness, the struggles, the out of reach housing for families all around Washington state, well, Madam Speaker, what is the point? What is the point? Saving the money over the long run, and I heard decades, lifetime, over a lifetime, we will save that. These are lifetimes families are waiting to be housed. We should be addressing the issue today, Madam Speaker, and that is getting people in homes and off the streets, and families being able to stay together, kids go to school, and people working where their jobs are. Madam Speaker, let's go talk about policies that really matter right now, housing our families, and I urge a no vote.
Further remarks, the good member from the 19th District, Representative Walsh.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning. This is a bad bill. Please vote no. The real issue that we have in the housing crisis in this state is a lack of inventory. We don't have enough units of housing, be they apartments, townhomes, single-family homes. We don't have enough stock. We don't have enough inventory. This bill, this policy is of trivial importance to the big issue of providing more units of housing to the families of this state. Madam Speaker, it's like a bill that is refining the speedometer on a German import luxury vehicle while many working families are walking to work. We need to put first things first, Madam Speaker. We need to be practical. We need to offer real solutions to the families and the people in this state. And that real solution in this context is more housing. We talk about affordable housing, Madam Speaker, but it's not even that. It's just volume. We need more units. To have this policy looking at refining and expanding and enlarging the red tape of our energy codes does the working families in the state no good at all. Let's put this policy aside, Madam Speaker. It's fiddling while there's a crisis on. Let's focus on the crisis and build more homes. Vote no on this bill, Madam Speaker.
Further remarks, the good member from the 2nd District, Representative Barkas.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Well, I was going to talk about supply, but I think we've talked about that pretty well tonight. You know, Madam Speaker, I was just thinking about what the good gentleman said, that we're going to need to get used to not cozying up to the gas fireplace. And it kind of saddens me, Madam Speaker, because I have a gas fireplace, actually propane. You know, Madam Speaker, the thing I can't help think about, and we've talked about the cost drivers in this, and it's true. I mean, we've looked at all the statistics. You know, Madam Speaker, I've been working on a lot of housing policy, and we're not done this legislative session. But Madam Speaker, the one thing that I've been working on with all my stakeholders on all sides of the aisle, how to drive the cost down. How do we get at that 20 to 25% that we need to start getting into some kind of an affordability range today, but not just today, in the future, Madam Speaker. If we keep on this path, I don't know who's going to be able to afford a house or rent a house. So, Madam Speaker, when we start thinking about some of these codes and some of these changes and requirements, and yes, you know, technology changes. When I bought my house years ago, it had old metal windows in it. And as I could afford it, we put a window in here and a window in there, and they were thermal panes and got better. Madam Speaker, as we start thinking about mandating and putting these codes in, we know it's going to drive the cost up. So how do we overcome that, Madam Speaker? How do we do that? It's going to be subsidies. It's going to have to be. If I want to put solar on my house right now, Madam Speaker, I can do that, but it's very expensive unless I get a rebate or some kind of subsidy. It's not free, Madam Speaker. The taxpayer is the one who's going to take that burden up. All the citizens of the state of Washington, when they see that cost distributed throughout, as taxes go up, to cover some of these subsidies. We talk about the things we do in this chamber, but it ends up costing somebody something, right? So, Madam Speaker, I think we've got to think about these things. You know, my house is all electric right now. I wish it had gas. I wish it was, because my bill would not be as high as it is in the wintertime. It's incredibly high. And I'm fortunate that I can pay that bill. But Madam Speaker, if it was gas, I know it'd be a lot cheaper. And I remember, as one who's been a housing provider, people would ask us, does that house have gas? Because we don't want to be an electric house. It's too expensive. Until, Madam Speaker, we get to the point that we can both provide the necessary amount of electricity in the state, know that we have a stable source of electricity that will take care of that. This push to an all-electric house, when we're trying to do all these other things, I think it's a little too soon. We've got a
Member
ways
has
to go on
20
it.
seconds remaining.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With that, I'll close by just saying, vote no on this policy tonight. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Further remarks, the good member from the 40th District, Representative Ramel.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a false economy to build a building that's cheap at first and then more expensive to live in. And that's why I'm pleased to support this important piece of legislation. This is also a critically important climate policy. And almost every time we bring up climate policies, Madam Speaker, there's folks who will tell us that it's too hard, that it's too expensive, that it's not the right time, that we should delay. And we have heard those arguments this evening. But this bill shows us that we can act, and that we're not helpless to confront the climate crisis, and that when we do so, we can save building owners, building occupants money on their energy bills. We can improve the indoor air quality, and we can create good jobs in the construction industry at the same time. Builders in my community, and we heard earlier from the good woman from the 1st District, folks are already implementing this on their own. What this is about is moving the sort of middle of the bell curve in the industry. Building right the first time with better energy codes is an obvious solution to the climate crisis. We've got lots of local governments in Washington state that are eager to implement this opportunity, and we can empower those communities to lead. Let's give them those tools. Let's pass this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Further remarks, the good member from the 35th District, Representative Griffey.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in opposition to this measure before us today. May I refer to my committee notes, Madam Speaker?
Please proceed.
Madam Speaker, the plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC installer technicians, Council of Laborers, master builders of King County and Snohomish County, Business Association of Washington, International Union of Operating Engineers, air conditioning contractors, Association of General Contractors, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Washington PUD Association, Northwest Gas Association, Avista, Washington Rural Electric Cooperative Association, Association of Washington Business, United Transportation Union, Northwest Hearth and Patio Barbecue, Realtors Association, Food Industry Association. Madam Speaker, they all signed up to testify in opposition, and none of them got to testify on the bill. They didn't get to share in open public, Madam Speaker, their opposition to the bill. We once again lack the knowledge that we would have learned if we would have listened to both sides, Madam Speaker. The number one reason we need to vote no is because not everyone was brought to the table. This can't just be the solution for the environmentalist driven side, or it can't be the solution for the builders. It can't be just the housing people that are going to buy housing. It's got to be the solution for Washington State. Madam Speaker, this is one that a lot of voices were left out. For that reason, I urge a no vote. Thank you.
Further remarks, the good member from the 19th District, Representative McIntyre.
Thank you and good morning, Madam Speaker. My favorite economist, Thomas Sowell, said, in life, there are no solutions, only trade-offs. And what does he mean? He means in many circumstances, you cannot have the best of both worlds. We have to choose what it is we're going for. And I hear all the time about how we have this initiative to make more affordable housing, to help people get into houses. This is not the way, Madam Speaker. We cannot do both. We cannot make it easier and cheaper and better for us to be able to build new homes for families, for Washington citizens, and engage in this climate catastrophism fantasy, which has been thoroughly debunked and does not stand up to scrutiny. I heard some pretty disturbing things tonight, Madam Speaker. Did you know tens of thousands of people die every year because of cold, because of exposure to the cold? And then I heard maybe we should get rid of gas and propane. That's not safe. That's not right. People rely on these things in order to be able to stay safe and survive. Look, Madam Speaker, we can send ourselves back to the Stone Age if we want, use flint tools and live in caves if we want to lower our carbon footprint that much. But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to find real solutions that actually work for Washington residents. And so far, in my opinion, this bill does not even come close. We must vote no. We're looking for real solutions. Please vote no.
Further remarks, the good member from the 13th District, Representative Ybarra.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So talking about energy conservation. So for many years, for about 6-7 years, I was an energy conservation analyst for Greene County PUD. And one of my jobs was to do Initiative I-937. And half of I-937 is efficiency, conservation of energy. And what that means is exactly what we're talking about here. We look at building codes. We look at new refrigerators with more efficient refrigerators. I'd look at the costs, and we make sure that we do a cost analysis of that adventure that we want to go into. If we wanted more insulation in your house, how much energy would you save? How much that insulation cost you, and how much energy would save compared. So you compare the cost. You compare the cost of the insulation to the amount of savings you would have in energy. You save a little energy, but it always depended on the cost analysis. Was it worth getting the extra installation versus how much you're going to save on that insulation or the energy savings from the installation? And so that was my job. That's all I did, was did a cost analysis per I-937, per the state laws on how to do that analysis. What I'm finding in these building codes, they're pretty rampant, or they're pretty out there. I don't see any cost analysis of whether these building codes are going to be cost effective. So far, all I've heard is we're going to make them more stringent, but there's no cost analysis whether they're worth it, whether it's worth the people put in those buildings to save that amount of cost. Why would you do something if it's going to cost you more? Maybe you save a little bit more energy, just a little bit, but it's going to cost you over the long run, like we heard in the app today, it was 59 years to get your money back, saving a little bit of energy, or even creating new energy. So that analysis needs to be done, and this particular bill does not, what I'm seeing is it doesn't do that. We need a cost analysis that makes sense, not one that we're just gonna do willy-nilly. We need to make sense, save as much energy as we can, make it cost effective, and that's not what I'm hearing here today. Again, I did it for years, that was my job, and what I'm hearing is that's not what's happening here. We need to say no to this bill.
Further remarks, the good member from the 2nd District, Representative Wilcox.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 250,000 homes. We've heard that over and over. We're short 250,000 homes in the state of Washington. 250,000 families that don't have a home. The math is easy with this. You add thousands of dollars to the cost of a home, even with public housing and the billions of dollars that we put into that, there's going to be a material number of families that don't have homes because we've made it that much more expensive to build the home. People are free to choose a higher level of energy efficiency if they want. They don't need us to tell them what they have to have. What this bill does is it tells people there's not going to be a home for them. Whose family is not going to have a home as a result of this bill? That's what we should be thinking about.
Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of engrossed substitute House Bill 1770. Do the whips need to be recognized to excuse members? It does not appear so. The Speaker is about to start the roll call machine. The Speaker has started the roll call machine. Has every member voted? Representative Hansen. The Speaker is about to lock the roll call machine. The Speaker has locked the roll call machine. Will the clerk please take the record?
Madam Speaker, there are 51 yeas, 47 nays, 0 excused.
Having received a constitutional majority, engrossed substitute House Bill 1770 is declared passed.